welcome to the fight. And welcome back also to episode number 2 of Men Save Your Marriage. So, in this episode, I want to dig in just kind of superficially, just kind of getting us started in this, but I want to look at a few reasons why marriages fail, maybe some of the more common reasons. We're going to talk briefly about some of these underlying issues. And let me just say, we're going to come back to each of these and break all of this down deeper as as questions come in, as you guys start responding to me, as the episodes go. Again, as I've said a couple of times, I'm trying to keep this minimal. This is a 15-20 minute podcast, which means that I'm going to go through the highlights here, but we're going to have to come back around and dig into these deeper. And we're going to make it a journey that we kind of go on together. So this is just a high level look. This is 30,000 feet looking down at the issue. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. And we will dig into this in depth as we go. But when we dig into it in depth here shortly down the road, I want to do that with some of your questions and some of your feedback along with me. So now if you're listening to this today and you do have a question, if you have a comment, you have a thought, you can text me. You cannot call, but you can text me. And my text number, you will find it in the show notes, the description of this episode, but it is also 812-648-3380. Now, once again, that is a text-only number. That is not a call number. Now, if you want to record a voice message, you can text that to me, but you can't call. You can only text. Again, 812-648-3380. So let's unpack just very briefly some of the underlying issues that cause marriages to deteriorate. It's going to be the big ones. Obviously, we know about a lot of these: communication breakdown, emotional neglect, unrealistic expectations. These are the kind of things that cause a marriage to break down or can help kind of facilitate the breaking down of the marriage. And this is just about helping you identify some of these root causes in whatever issues you have going on in your marriage. Not just the symptoms, but the root causes. So let's talk about some of the more common reasons why marriages deteriorate. Again, the first, as I just mentioned, one of the first ones is communication breakdown. Life happens, and unfortunately, there's a part of this I want to share a little bit about my own story. You've heard me say I kind of did an autopsy on my own marriage after it failed, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But again, communication breakdown. There's some days when you just get home and you've been talking to a million people and you don't feel like talking anymore. But we have to make the effort to continue to talk. We have to make the effort to communicate with our spouse. We can't let barriers come in between us. So communication breakdown, neglect. How easy is it for us in this day and age to allow life just to carry us away to the point that we didn't do it with any malicious intent? They didn't do it with any malicious intent, but all of a sudden we haven't really spent any time together because we've been so busy. Life has just kind of carried us away. But it still is an opportunity for neglect because we've let other things occupy our time. Unfortunately, when you start combining communication breakdown and neglect, it's easy over time to introduce resentment. So these are just a few of them. I'll tell you, here's 4 others that really come to mind, and I am seeing this repeatedly in the men that I coach and that I counsel now every day. Here's 4 real quick. Sacrificing individual needs. Listen, sometimes we just need time to hang with the guys. Sometimes I need a Saturday where it's me and a few guys on a golf course, and we need to talk like men, and we need to give each other a hard time, and we need to be a little rough around the edges so that we've kind of we've kind of expressed that, and we can come back to being a husband. It was one of the things I was guilty of in my marriage, is that, and I thought I was doing the right thing, but I gave up basically all of my hobbies for years. I didn't play golf. I didn't go hunting. I didn't do any of the things that I wanted to do because I was so busy, with a wife and a family. And over time, it began to really start to wear on me. So sacrificing individual needs. Now, that doesn't give us the right to be stingy, doesn't give us the right to be selfish, but we have to understand there are times we have our own individual needs that need to be met. The second one is enabling negative behavior. Not only you allowing negative behavior out of her, but her allowing negative behavior out of you. Um, the first thing we have to do is look at ourselves. In every conversation we're going to have, gentlemen, the first thing we have to do is look at ourselves. And we can only change ourselves. We can't change her. She has to want to change her. But you have to want to change you. And you need to take a long, hard look at and ask yourself, what are there any negative behaviors that I am kind of offering up here, that I am involved in, that doesn't set well with her? And then at the same time, you could start to look and wonder, is she doing anything that affects me in a negative way? And then another one is disrespecting relationship boundaries. Um, I have I have a dear friend, and if he wants to go do something, she wants to be right there with him, which is fine. You know, let's go shopping together, or I got to run to the store. I'm going to go to the hardware store. Well, I want to go with you. Okay, that's fine. That's great. But it goes so far that when he wants to go hang with the guys, she wants to go. When he wants to go play golf, she wants to go. She's just going to go ride the car. She just wants to be with him. But there's times, again, kind of like sacrificing the individual needs. There's times that he needs, and that's one of the conversations he and I have had in our coaching, is he's going to have to be able to say, listen, um, I need this for me, not with us, but me. And then he has to also be cognizant of the fact that there may be times where he's kind of in her world and he needs to give her space. Does she want to go shopping with a girlfriend? Does she want to go read, go sit and read? And whatever the case may be, I'm just trying to throw out examples here, but we have to respect the relationship boundaries, whatever those are. And the boundaries are different for every couple, but we have to respect those. And then this last one, navigating external stressors. And I'm going to come back to that one in just a minute as we finish up this episode. But I want to talk about navigating external stressors because that is a huge one that I see in our world today, in all the marriages with the guys that I am counseling and coaching right now. So these are just a few of the things that can be some of the common issues that I'm seeing repeatedly, that I hear from people online and I hear through social media, as I kind of put this message out there. These are very common things that they coming back over and over, but constantly being repeated. These are a few of the things that I'm seeing that are common reasons that marriages are deteriorating. Now, I want to discuss briefly, very quickly, and again, this is all high level, but some of the differences between addressing symptoms versus root causes. Um, I believe that a lot of the symptoms in our marriages really come down to just about five root causes. And very quickly, here they are. One, selfish. Are you or your partner selfish? Is every decision and every conversation about you, rather than thinking about your spouse? Um, the selfishness is a very common one. Another one is fear, uh, which is the exact opposite of trust. You know, trust is the foundation for a healthy relationship. Um, and if there's no trust, then it's insecurity and fear. That's all there is. Okay. Stress. Obviously, stress is like a rubber band. You know, you stretch it enough and it's going to snap. Usually, and when it snaps, it causes serious damage. Okay. And I'm going to come back to stress again in a minute because that one I just shared with you, the exterior stressors, I want to talk about the external stressors. And these are the root causes. So, whatever the issues you may be having in your marriage, more often than not, it comes down to one of these root causes. Again, selfishness, fear, stress, the psyche. Psychological issues, problems. Are you with a woman who is maybe damaged or abused or whatever in a previous relationship? Were you abused? Were you, talked the way you was talked to is kind of can considered abusive. That can begin to affect our psyche. And these things can range from anywhere just from a mild depression or anxiety, to a dysfunctional anxiety to PTSD. But a lot of times, some of these issues in our marriages, when you boil it down to some of these root causes, sometimes it is psychological. And then the last one can sometimes very simply be chemical disorders, metabolic disorders. It could be something very mild. It could be something as significant as bipolar disease, schizophrenia, even a hormonal imbalance. Listen, every day we're all growing older, and it's entirely possible that the person you are with now is very different than the person you married. It may be the same, individual, but they have changed significantly. Also, look in the mirror. You've changed significantly. But these are just five of the really common issues, the root causes to a lot of these symptoms in our marriages. And then finally, I want you to stop and I want you to take a look inward and look at your marriage. And I'm going to run down this list. Here are a few things that I have noticed, again, in the men that I am coaching and counseling now, that they have identified as challenges in their own marriage. And most of these all drive right back down to one of those five root causes that I just shared. So, very quickly, are you experiencing a lack of intimacy? That's a symptom. What is the root cause? Are you always criticizing each other? That's a symptom. What is the root cause? Do you feel like every time you have a disagreement or an argument, it's the same stinking argument? I've been there. I understand that. Are you not communicating at all? Is it just radio silence in the home or in the marriage? Okay. Have you gotten to a place where you don't enjoy spending time with each other? You do your thing, she does her thing, and we just really don't. Spending time together means sometimes maybe we sit down and eat together as a family, right? um, that these are some of the symptoms that I want you to start to look at and start to could potentially identify in your own marriage. So lack of intimacy, criticizing each other, the same argument over and over again, not communicating. Okay, let's go on. You just simply don't enjoy spending time together anymore. It's not the way it used to be. And you've grown and you're different people. And now you just don't really, not as lovers, not as husband and wife, not as anything else other than just two humans, kind of friends, if you will. You just don't get along that well. So you don't spend time together, or you don't enjoy spending time together. Here's a big one. And these again, guys, you got to look at yourself first, but yourself and then her. Are you keeping secrets from each other or lying to your spouse? Um, is there a lack of trust? Have one of you had an affair? All of these are symptoms. What are the root causes? And this one I'm going to ask directly to you, because this one, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, this one applies to men in a marriage that is dying. Are you emotionally relying on another person? Do you feel good? Do you get your encouragement? Do you look forward to seeing someone else in your day more so than your spouse? It's a question we have to look ourselves in the mirror and ask, gentlemen. We don't have a choice. And finally, abuse. First and foremost, look yourself in the mirror. Are you abusing her verbally, psychologically, or physically? If you are, you have a problem and you need to seek professional help. And is she abusing you? Maybe not physically, but maybe verbally, maybe psychologically. These are questions that we have to ask ourselves. These are potential challenges. These are some of the most common challenges that we see in marriages today. And I am seeing these repeatedly, time and time and time and time again. Every time I sit down with one of these, one of these men that I'm coaching, I get on a coaching phone call and I'm immediately hearing same things over and over and over and over again. So these are just some of the ways that we can begin to really understand how and why your marriage is failing right now. Is it dying right now? And this is some of the things that you can begin to take a look at. Now, I want to come back to that navigating external stressors. My wife and I met in the 90s. We got married after a couple of years, and we've been together for 20, like almost 27 years before we split up. And um, I remember after we had been married a couple of years, now she was married before, I'd never been married before, and she had a stepson, a 5-year-old stepson my stepson that I raised in my home. But we started having children of our own, and there was a 5-year stretch. And I'll just real quickly, the first year we had our first son, he was born premature, spent 4 weeks in the NICU, and then we got to bring him home. I'm a scared dad. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm a young man. The very next year, she gets pregnant again, and we have a daughter that dies at birth. The very next year, After the year after our daughter dies, the doctors tell my wife that she has some female problems. It's called endometriosis, and she has to have major surgery if she ever wants to hope to have children again. A year after that, um, and we're told that year after the endometriosis surgery, we're told that um, she will never have children again unless we use in vitro fertilization, which is very expensive. And we just knew that's something we couldn't do. So we had resigned ourselves to, we lost our daughter, but we have our son. And then we have our stepson, my stepson, her other son. So we have two boys. We lost our daughter. That's what it is, right? That's in the third year. The fourth year, she ends up being pregnant. No in vitro fertilization. She's just pregnant. Oh, and lo and behold, it's twins, a boy and a girl. We have twins, but again, they're born 6 weeks early. It's 4 weeks in the NICU. It's a year with heart monitors on. It's all the things that come with babies that are born premature, right? So that's the first 4 years. A child, the next year, a child that dies, the next year, surgery, and we can't have children without IVF. The next year, a set of twins with all of the complications that come with that. And then the fifth year, my wife is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Now, at the time, across that 5 year span, I'm trying to work, move up in my company. I'm trying to advance because now I've got not one or two, I've got four children that I'm trying to raise and pay for, and I'm working myself stupid. And the truth of the matter is, there was never a time in those 5 years where she and I were angry with each other, upset with each other. But after we got years removed from that, and I look back, it was almost as if we were shoulder to shoulder. Brothers or brother and sister in war, and we were just two soldiers in a foxhole. And we were just trying to raise the kids and get through life and have enough money to get to the end of the week and be able to buy diapers and buy milk. And it was just every day was a constant battle. Now, what I didn't realize at the time was when that 5 year stretch was up, we were two completely different people. It took years for that to work itself out and years for it to bring itself to light to where we realized we're not getting along anymore. 17 years later, we split. But I can look back and realize that year 2 through year 7 of our marriage was such a crazy external stressor that's where we began to fall apart, drift apart. We didn't fall apart till later, but that's where we began to drift apart. Now, I just threw a lot of information at you really fast in 17 minutes. But I want you to start thinking about, as I end this episode, I want you to start thinking about what challenges are you facing in your own marriage? What issues are you continually dealing with in your marriage right now? And what does it look like? Understanding more often than not, these items are very common, but these are also the symptoms. What are the root causes? Is it fear? Is it, is it a lack of trust? Is it a psychological thing? Think about those root causes that I mentioned and ask yourself, is this a symptom of that root cause? Okay, that was a lot. Now, if you have questions, if you have thoughts, again, you can text me at 812-648-3380. My name is Terry. I'm glad you're here, guys, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you in the next episode.